My hair's wet because I came here to do two things, and that was to do this wrap up and have a shower. So I'm all clean for you. You're welcome. Sometimes I say things and I immediately hate myself. So December was a really interesting month for me. I actually got so much reading done. I actually took some time off to do that. I got loads of writing done. It was a very productive month, probably because I did all my Christmas shopping in November. I'm one of those guys, so it was just really fun and I really enjoyed it. Real mix of books, and obviously I did the Winter Trials from Rachel's Realm, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, so I will just get started and start going through some books, shall I? So let's start with the Rachel's Realm books. So I had 3 books that covered a variety of different prompts, and I managed to read 2 out of the 3. So the one that I didn't get to was Children of Blood and Bone. Now, I remember when I set this, I was unconvinced. So when this first came out, everyone loved it, and obviously the Children of Vengeance and something has just come out. I won't be reading it. I didn't enjoy this when I first read it, and I feel like part of that is because I'm such a fantasy snob, and part of that is because...
Stars! Can't do it. Not today.
I just couldn't get into it. I just didn't enjoy it, and I feel really bad because I know it's so many people's fave, and it was just a meh for me. So when it came to rereading it for this Winter Trials, I just didn't prioritise it, and by the time it came to the end, I think I had like a day to read it, and I was just like, I'd never read a book in a day before, and this is over 500 pages long, and I just knew it wasn't going to happen. So part of me just didn't bother. So I'm fully expecting to get like called out for that. Like, how can you hate something you're not even going to give the time of day? This was a reread though, so I feel like I did give it the time of day last year. It's just not for me. I don't think there's anything fundamentally wrong with it. I can't remember if there's anything wrong with it. I just don't think I liked it. I just don't think I was that... I don't think I cared about the characters enough. Mainly what I remember is the main character was feisty and incredible and I loved her, and everyone else around her just seemed kind of moany, miserable, and I need a character that if she's going to be miserable, she's going to be proactive with that. Like, I find certain characters, certain perspectives kind of dreary, so this just didn't hit it for me, so I didn't get reread. Ironically, speaking of dreary stories, I don't mind the dreary story, so long, like I said, so long as the protagonist is a bit more chipper about it. I reread The Song of Achilles. That was one of the other ones for the prompt. This covered almost all of the prompts. I think Children of Blood and Bone only covered 2, and my other book only covered 2, and this was kind of the rest. I love this. I am a massive fan of historical fiction, but what I love is the beautiful simplicity of The Song of Achilles. If you are not a massive Greek and Roman myths nerd, or if you don't really like historical fiction, but you maybe like an element of fantasy, or you like contemporary but you want something a little bit different, that, like, I feel like Madeline Miller and Pat Barker are both fantastic writers to do historical fiction, but on a kind of simpler, but not in a simple you're stupid kind of way. Like, they treat their audiences with respect, and I actually really enjoy these stories, and I fucking cried, because of course I did. Like, it's so sad, and it's so beautifully put together, and I love this book. And I know that there were quite a few, this was one of my buddy read ones, and I know there was quite a few of us that read this that didn't love this as much as I do, but I would die on a hill for this book. Like, it's just fantastic, and it was as good as I remember, so I gave this one 5 stars. Not that I needed to, I already reviewed it last year when I read it for uni. So this is the thing, is like, even coming off of being heavily critical and kind of analysing books from a place where you're literally trying to tell them apart, not because you hate them, but because you want to work out how they tick. Like, it's kind of like taking a car apart to work out why the engine's not starting, or why the engine, you know, kicks in faster than something else, whatever. So coming from that point of view, I'm in adoration of Madeline Miller, and I have Cersei in my TBRs, my top trump cards, so I'm hoping that will come up again soon, because I just love her. I think her writing is fantastic. The last book that I read for the Winter Trials was The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I read this when I was a kid. My dad read this to me. I never read the rest of them, but I have the rest of the series that kind of goes with this, because it starts with the magician's nephew and then kind of goes on through the stories. And this is the only one of this I'd ever read. So I have bought the rest of the series because I feel like maybe I'll do that like every Christmas, as I'll tap into another one. This is a Christmas story because it has Santa Claus in it, so it counts. And I loved it. What I didn't remember was the sheer amount of drug references in it. You'll need to read it to kind of understand. They are really, really subtle because it's for kids, but it's this whole like, don't take candy from strangers because it will make you violently sick. You'll desperately want more, and it's yeah, it's dark. And I remember when the film came out, it was pants, so I kind of didn't come back to this for a really long time after being a kid. Like, I didn't choose to reread this, but I'm really glad that I found the opportunity to with The Winter Trials, because I really enjoyed it, and I finished this in like a day and a half. Like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I basically just spent reading this and hanging out with my family and playing board games. And if you've ever seen the TV series Only Connect, I made a O'Donnell version of that for my family because I'm a nerd. And then I just chilled out and read this in the evening, and it was just utterly perfect. I really like that the narrator is really friendly and kind of talks to you, because it's written for a child, and literally it's C.S. Lewis talking directly to this child, and it's just really fun and really friendly, and the pace is really quick, so you think everything's going to happen really slowly because it's a classic, but actually because it's for children, it's just lovely, and it's just an easy read. So if you miss Christmas already and you want a little bit of the Christmas spirit without people judging you, maybe give this another reread. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And plus this copy has some really pretty illustrations in it. So that's Mr. Tumnus and Lucy just sat having tea. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know how well that's zooming in, but I just thought it's just a classic. It was just really cute. So yeah, happy with that one. Oh, I gave it 5 stars. So on to my actual TBR list. We will start with my least favourite. I don't own it because I don't want it anymore, but I also got it on Audible. Now, I found out the other day that if you download something on Audible and you return it, you get your money back, and then that comes out of the author's profits or something like that. I don't really know how it works, but I don't agree with that. So even though I've just said that I would give it back, I'm not actually going to give my Audible copy back, because it's not the writer's fault, really, that I mean, it is her fault that I don't like her book, because she wrote it, but taste to taste, and I feel like actually cutting into someone's profits like that as a writer is just wrong. Like, I don't think that's right. I don't think, like, that's not how I would run my business. So I just want to briefly talk to you about why I hated Serpent and Dove. Actually, I think I might have the perfect explanation. Let me see if I can find it.
Blessed be! The witches hailed back in unison. A rapturous joy lit their faces. Alarm tempered my rage. Where was Madame Labelle? Morgane took a step down the dais. I watched helplessly as Lou floated along behind her. Blessed be thy feet, Morgane cried, which have brought thee in these ways. Blessed be, the witches clapped.
I can't deal with that. So, there are so many people that talk about Serpent and Dove and why they hated it. I gave it 1 star. That added to the sound effect of Blessed be, I feel like that explains everything you could possibly need to know. It's not a good story. It reads like a fan fiction, but I couldn't tell you what a fan fiction for. Like, it doesn't kind of follow any narrative that I've read before, and yeah, it feels overly familiar. I hated it, really didn't enjoy that, so we'll call it a day on that one. And the next book I read was The Girl of Ink and Stars. This was gifted to me from a friend from uni for my birthday last year. He knows how much I enjoy a cute little fantasy. This is fantasy, but this feels really refreshing, really kind of contemporary. It starts off with 2 little girls who are at school together, and a 3rd little girl is killed. They live on this island, and the main character's father is a cartographer, so somebody makes maps. Just so I can patronise you a little bit, I'm sorry. and she is desperate to kind of travel the world, but she also really wants to finish making a map of the island that they live on. And no one is allowed to leave their town because the governor won't let them, and he's very protective, and it's his daughter that she's friends with. When the third little girl dies, she and a bunch of others go out to find what did this to her, and it kind of unfurls that there are nastier things in the forest than you could possibly imagine. It's really beautifully written, because it's for kids. I say kids, it's middle grade, so it's for people much younger than I am, but it's not, I would say like 12 to 13 year olds maybe, or a little bit younger than that, but because it's for that, it doesn't linger on any of the harsh stuff for very long. So when people die or brutal things happen, it kind of just happens and then you move on. So in that way it's very, very similar to The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. The pace is quite quick. It all happens over the span of like a couple of days. Characters pop up out of nowhere and then disappear and are never spoken of again. Most of the characters, except for the protagonist, most of the characters do not get any kind of arc. They are just kind of there for the main character to experience a certain emotion or a certain situation and kind of go from there. It was okay. I wasn't as enamoured with this as I thought I would be, so that was kind of disappointing. But it was still beautiful, and I really liked the kind of, I liked the world, I liked the characters, even if they were really one-dimensional. Yeah, so I guess I gave this 3 stars. It's okay. If you need a nice easy read that's kind of a little bit otherworldly, a little bit special, then maybe pick this up, but I don't know what I would compare this to say like, well, if you liked this, go for this, because it kind of does stand on its own merit, and it does feel a little bit like literary fiction for kids, because it's very, very soft, it's very internalised. Stuff obviously happens to her, but she doesn't really respond in any way. Like there's, I don't know, it was a bit of a weird one. It was kind of caught in between, which is why I gave it a 3. So it was halfway there. Maybe it could have done with being a little bit longer, or maybe I'm just being really judgy because it's written for people 10, 15 years younger than I am. I don't know, but yeah, 3 stars. 3 stars isn't too bad. Okay, we'll talk about the Testaments. So I was quite nervous when this came up on my TBR because it is a hefty one, and actually I got about halfway through and then realised, because I've read The Handmaid's Tale, and I studied it at school and then at university, I have so many notes on Margaret Atwood and The Handmaid's Tale and the narrative and the structure and all these other really nerdy things, and about halfway through I was like, oh my god, my notes are relevant still. Even with it being completely different narrators and completely different story, my notes are still relevant. The structure of it is very much the same and the feeling of it the same, and I feel like this, because of that, I desperately want to give this book more of my time, and ironically that meant that I gave it less of my time. So as you can see, I've started annotating it. I don't like scribbling in books, so it's literally just post-it notes for key elements that I want to talk about. But this is a book that I'm looking to do an entire video essay on, comparing to The Handmaid's Tale and kind of going through my notes, in hopes that if anyone studies The Handmaid's Tale or Margaret Atwood, they'll find that useful, but also because I just really like talking about books and I like writing essays. Don't judge me. So I feel like actually that would be a fun way to do that. So as much as I didn't finish this isn't a did not finish, will not finish. This is a did not finish because I ran out of time, because I wasn't reading this for enjoyment anymore. I was kind of reading this to kind of learn more about it, learn more about the world, and kind of go from there. So I don't have a rating for this one yet because I haven't finished it. But keep an eye out, because that, like I said, that's a video that I want to do, and if I haven't done that by the end of March, then something's gone horribly wrong, so call me out on it. But that's kind of, I want to come back to this. And also something I didn't realise is, when I first got the book, I didn't realise that that's a little girl. That's one of the main characters hugging. I just thought that was like a zip. And I literally only realised that this morning, and I was just like, oh, so clever. So maybe this video essay will be dog shit, because clearly I'm an idiot, but I really liked it. I quite like the fact that it's the split narratives. I've written a book with 3 separate narratives, so I appreciate anytime someone does that and the voice is actively different. So the idea that you're seeing it from one of the aunt's perspective and you're seeing it from the daughter's perspective, that was really interesting to me. Obviously with The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments, the pace is very slow. The world they're in is very controlled. It's very measured. So I'm not surprised that the pace in this is quite slow. That kind of goes without saying. It's hefty. It's going to take me a while, but I'm really excited that this book is probably going to give me more content. So swings and roundabouts. Swings and roundabouts. And then the last one I want to talk about is my 5-star of the month. I fucking loved this. When it first came out, I ordered a copy and I asked for it for... I asked for it for my birthday, and then it didn't arrive for my birthday, so I then ordered myself a copy, and then I won a copy in like a raffle or something, and I forgot that I had a copy, so I ended up with 2 copies, and I gave one to my friend Kate, and she finished it yesterday, and we spent most of yesterday evening discussing how much we love this book. So this is a story about a girl who watches her parents be murdered, and then she is taken by the guy, she's kidnapped by the guy that murdered her parents. And it turns out he's an elf, he's a general, and she lives this life of luxury, but she's caught between 2 worlds. She lives in a world that hates her, she wants to be part of it, but she can't be. And the main conflict of the story doesn't necessarily come from her living in this world, which would be quite tropey, but kind of her and the dynamic between her sisters, because her 2 sisters kind of respond to it in very different ways. And yeah, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. A lot of people have slammed it for the romance element in this. So she has 2 love interests, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but essentially it doesn't really work out with either of them. And the prince, the cruel prince, is an arsehole, and a lot of people don't think that because of his behaviour towards her that they should have any kind of romance. But what I thought was really, really clever, and I thought that actually Holly Black absolutely fucking nailed it, is the fact that their romance isn't a romance. It's not your traditional, even though they're horrible to each other, they desperately love each other, it is a real enemies to lovers kind of power dynamic. It is all about power. And the one and only time that they kiss, she does it as a power move. It's not a romantic, oh, I'm into you. Like, they can both appreciate each other, but they'll never admit it unless like under duress kind of thing. And they fight with each other the entire way through, and they are both horrible, horrible people. Some are more horrible than others, but I love that. I think that's really, really refreshing and really, really clever, because I think there are so many people that will write a story that's enemies to lovers, and they kind of go from he bullies her to he protects her, or vice versa, or they just don't agree on one thing and then they like agree on everything else, and it feels really 2-dimensional. And what I liked about this is the fact that it's a power thing rather than like a romance, boy meets girl bollocks. So yeah, this was my 5 stars. This is also the first book I have ever completed in a day. I am 27 years old. That is not something I've ever done before because I just get distracted. So much like with Testaments, I sit there and I'll read it for a bit and then I'll go, oh, I've got this great idea, and then I'll kind of run away with something. Or if I really enjoy a book, it might be that I like a particular character and a particular scene, and then I'll write my own thing, or I'll get distracted and I'll need to go for a walk or whatever. This had me hooked, and I did not leave the kitchen. I was just sat at the kitchen table from about 7 in the morning until like 10 and devoured the whole thing in a day. Loved it. Yeah, and I also bought the next one. So the next one is in my TBR cards now because I can't wait. I want to read it, and I have to kind of I don't want to restrict myself. I might make it my wild card. We shall see. But if you've not read The Cruel Prince, you hated Serpent and Dove, you were okay with The Red Queen, this is definitely needs to be. And like if you're into kind of light fantasy, because obviously they go into like the contemporary world as well, it's very modern language, it's a very familiar kind of scene. She spends a lot of time at school, but unlike with Hogwarts, it doesn't go into it in like this really arduous way. Like, it's just a really great story. Highly rated it. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. So yeah, that was, I think I've said enough times. 5 stars. Read it. It's good. And that's it. That's my wrapped up. Sometimes I say things and I immediately hate myself straight after, and that was That was one of them. But I hope you liked this video. I hope there's something on that list that you now want to read, because there were some fantastic books in that list. I was really, really happy with my December reading list, and I'm really excited to see what's in my January TBR, but that'll be coming out in a couple of days. So look forward to that. Make sure you subscribed and all the other things, because I've made it a goal that I kind of want to increase subscribers. But then admittedly, if you didn't enjoy my content, don't feel you have to come back. We don't want you here. Have a nice day.